In late 2007, the Iraq War is nearing its end. President Bush has declared victory, and rebuilding efforts are underway. Sergeant Matthews and his spotter, Sergeant Isaac, are sent to a pipeline construction site in the Iraqi desert. All the workers at the site have been killed, and their mission is to identify the culprit before new workers are brought in. The soldiers hide behind bushes and rocks, keeping watch under the blistering sun. 20 hours pass without any activity. Matthews grows restless, convinced there are no Iraqi soldiers nearby. Looking at the scattered bodies, he assumes the attack must have been carried out by a team that left the area afterward. Isaac disagrees, noting the absence of movement signs and pointing out that all the workers were killed with precise headshots. He suspects the legendary Iraqi sniper known as Juba is responsible. Matthews dismisses this, saying no single sniper could take out so many people in under 30 seconds. Frustrated, Matthews decides to leave their cover and investigate the site despite Isaac's warnings. Before heading down, he asks Isaac to cover him. Isaac mentions that his scope is blurry, and Matthews teases him for not replacing it. Isaac explains the scope belonged to a fallen comrade, which is why he keeps it. Matthews moves from body to body, looking for clues. He starts to believe Isaac's theory when he confirms that every victim was killed by a headshot. Standing in the middle of the site, Matthews tries to determine where the sniper might be, ignoring Isaac's pleas to retreat. Suddenly, a gunshot rings out, and Matthews collapses, writhing in pain from a wound to his abdomen. Desperate to help, Isaac runs toward Matthews in a zigzag pattern to avoid being shot. Just as he's about to reach him, a bullet hits Isaac in the leg. With no choice but to retreat, Isaac scrambles to a broken wall for cover, leaving Matthews behind. Matthews, still alive but in agony, radios Isaac and tells him to call for backup. Before doing so, Isaac addresses his own leg wound, tying a belt around it to stop the bleeding. He grabs his radio bag and attempts to contact the base, only to discover the antenna has been destroyed by a sniper's shot. Matthews radios again, urging Isaac to locate the sniper so he can aim and fire. Isaac warns him that any movement will give their position away, but Matthews doesn't listen. Determined to spot the sniper, Isaac begins carving a hole in the wall with his knife to insert his scope. However, falling debris injures his hand. Meanwhile, Matthews tries to reach for his rifle but loses consciousness due to blood loss. Fearing the same fate, Isaac painfully removes the bullet from his leg with a blade. The procedure is excruciating, but he manages to bandage the wound before passing out from exhaustion and pain. Isaac eventually wakes up to a strange sound coming through his earpiece. It turns out to be an officer from the base, and Isaac immediately starts reporting the situation and begging for medical supplies. However, he grows suspicious when the officer begins asking odd questions, especially when he insists Isaac either fire his weapon into the air or share his exact position so helicopters can drop supplies more accurately. Isaac points out that this goes against protocol and would put him in serious danger. Listening more closely to the man's words, he realizes the accent isn't American. It's Juba, the sniper, who has hacked into the radio frequency to lure him into a trap. Isaac doesn't fall for it and calls Juba out. Instead of disconnecting, Juba keeps talking and starts asking personal questions, saying he wants to get to know Isaac better. Isaac tries the radio again, but it's still not working. Juba keeps pushing his questions, and when Isaac ignores him, Juba threatens to shoot Matthews again, which worries Isaac since there's still a chance Matthews might be alive. To buy time, Isaac agrees to talk and asks Juba to start. While they talk, Isaac begins drawing a map of the site in the dirt to calculate the trajectory of the shots and pinpoint the sniper's location. Juba claims he's just an ordinary Iraqi citizen fighting to save his country and asks Isaac about his family. Isaac refuses to share anything personal and instead mocks Juba's reasoning, pointing out that the people Juba is killing are there to help develop Iraq by building schools, pipelines, and infrastructure to improve the economy. Juba laughs at this and explains that the money generated here will ultimately go back to the US, showing he doesn't trust American intentions. As the conversation goes on, Juba keeps pressing Isaac for personal details, but Isaac stays firm and says nothing. Frustrated, Juba threatens to shoot Matthews again, but Isaac no longer believes him. To prove his skill, Juba reveals he knows the name of the original owner of Isaac's scope and even quotes the teasing Matthews gave Isaac earlier. This makes it clear Juba has been listening to their conversations since they arrived. Using his scope, Isaac spots a dead worker nearby who has a radio. He tries to drag the body closer by using a piece of wood, but realizes he would have to expose himself to retrieve the device, which would make him an easy target. When Isaac tries to drink water, he finds his bottle empty due to a hole in it. Juba smugly confirms he shot the bottle intentionally. He also admits he didn't miss any of his previous shots. Each one was calculated to hit specific targets, like the antenna. Isaac Isaac's leg and the water bottle. Juba reveals his plan is to trap Isaac in an inescapable situation where he'll die slowly while Juba listens through the communicator, savoring every moment. When Isaac examines the bullet he removed from his leg, he starts calculating the type of weapon Juba is using. He slips in some subtle questions and calls Juba a terrorist, which makes Juba laugh. Juba counters by saying the Americans are the real invaders, illegally entering a foreign country with weapons to kill. While Juba talks, Isaac does more calculations and uses his scope to figure out that Juba is hiding under a large pile of trash. The sniper has been enduring these harsh conditions and the intense heat for a long time, proving he's highly skilled. However, Juba denies being the legendary sniper, claiming he's just an ordinary Iraqi man. Based on Juba's accent, Isaac guesses he might be a former US soldier who turned against them, but Juba dismisses this and says he only kills people who attack him first. In return, Isaac shares how he met his best friend as a kid and how they enlisted in the military together later in life. Dehydration and exhaustion begin to overwhelm Isaac, and he collapses as Juba taunts him, saying he'll staple his tongue to his chest. Desperate, Isaac tries to trick Juba by putting his helmet and jacket on his rifle and waving it above the wall. Juba doesn't fall for the trick, and the helmet drops on the other side of the wall, leaving Isaac without protection for his head. This mistake breaks Isaac's spirit, and he cries in frustration. More time passes, and Isaac becomes desperate enough to take a big risk. He sprints toward a nearby body, grabs its bag and radio, and makes it back to the wall, narrowly dodging Juba's bullets. In the bag, Isaac finds some water and candy, which he quickly devours. However, the radio doesn't work, and Juba retaliates by shooting at the wall, heavily damaging Isaac's scope. Suddenly, Isaac hears a sound through his earpiece. It's Matthews, still alive. Isaac yells out the sniper's location, and Matthews uses a piece of metal to spot the pile of garbage. Moving extremely slowly, Matthews tries to reach for his rifle. Meanwhile, Isaac keeps Juba distracted by making small talk. Juba reveals he was once a teacher in Baghdad, but when his students were killed in an American attack, he decided to seek revenge. The wall Isaac is hiding behind is the ruins of that very school. Juba then questions why Isaac keeps holding on to his damaged scope. Isaac doesn't want to answer, but when Juba threatens to shoot Matthews again, Isaac breaks down and admits the scope belonged to his best friend, who died because of a mistake Isaac made. The guilt has haunted him ever since. Meanwhile, Matthews sets up his rifle and fires blindly at the pile of trash, using all his bullets as Isaac fires as well to make it seem like the shots are coming from him. When Matthews stops to reload, Juba fires back, hitting Matthews in the shoulder. Isaac urges Matthews to crawl toward the wall for safety, but as Isaac leans over to help him, Juba shoots Matthews in the head. Isaac watches helplessly as Matthews dies, and he finally breaks down, crying and saying he just wants to go home. Juba tells Isaac that if he truly wants to leave, he won't shoot him, but Isaac doesn't trust him. Later, Juba asks why Isaac is still there since the war is over. After a pause, Isaac admits he's there because he killed his old friend. It wasn't the enemy who took his friend's life. Isaac accidentally shot him while aiming at an enemy sniper. Isaac had lied to everyone, saying the enemy killed his friend, and he's been carrying that guilt ever since. Suddenly, Isaac hears some noise on the radio and rushes to check it, relieved to hear other soldiers' voices. However, his relief is short-lived when he realizes he can't send any messages because of the radio's damage. To his horror, Juba joins the conversation, using Isaac's name to call for help. Isaac realizes Juba has been hacking into American communications all along, pretending to be a soldier in distress to lure rescue teams into the area and ambush them. Desperate, Isaac tries to interrupt the call, but he can't. Later, Isaac wakes up to the painful sensation of a crow pecking at his leg wound. Realizing the bird thinks he's already dead, Isaac decides to take a chance. Using a stick and some rope, he pulls Matthew's rifle to him and aims at the pile of trash. At that moment, helicopters arrive, unintentionally revealing Isaac's position to Juba. To protect the incoming soldiers, Isaac pushes the wall, causing it to crumble and create a cloud of dust to obscure Juba's line of sight. Isaac begins firing at the pile of trash, unsure if he's hitting his target. Finally, he stands up, expecting Juba to shoot back, but nothing happens. Isaac assumes he has successfully killed the sniper. The helicopters land, and medics rush to carry Isaac onto a stretcher, providing immediate care as they prepare to take off. Isaac tries to warn them about Juba, but the noise from the helicopter drowns him out. Suddenly, Juba opens fire, killing the medics one by one before shooting the pilot. The helicopter crashes, killing everyone on board, including Isaac. Juba keeps his word. Isaac wasn't killed by his bullets directly. Then Juba hacks into the US communication lines again, posing as an American soldier to lure his next victims into the trap. Don't forget to subscribe. Here's some more interesting story you don't want to miss.